A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there. Welcome to my channel. This is a very important channeling session, and this is sort of a continuation of a session which was done almost a year back. Now, because I have been noticing that a lot of people who are in the ascension journey, they get stuck because they play a runner-chaser dynamic even in the surrendering state. So, for example, like all of us want that the divine masculine, especially who are in the feminine energies and who are doing inner work, everyone wants the masculine should surrender to love. Eventually, the masculine should understand that this is true love, this is the right thing, not be so confused, take the charge, take the control. And enough of time wasting and enough of being confused and this and that. But the masculine cannot surrender because the masculine usually mirrors the feminine collective. And when we say masculine, most of the times we don't mean one single person who's with the masculine energy. All the people who are in polarized masculine energy, they take the inspiration, the energy from the feminine, because feminine is Shakti. Shakti is power. Without power, there is nothing that can happen. And the feminine takes her Shakti, her power from source and masters and guides, because she is also not like, all by herself and doing her things. And she's not in the ego energy anymore. Most of you who have been successful in your previous life and previous relationships, a lot of people have told me, a lot of chasers have told me this, and these are personal accounts. Without naming anyone, I can share this to you all, that they have mentioned that we never chased anyone before. This is the only person we are chasing like this, and we ourselves don't like this type of chasing. These are heartfelt accounts of people where they say that, in the past, when I was in other relationships, I was going through all the other relationship related issues, like maybe there's an argument, maybe there's a fight, but this type of desperation to be with someone or this type of obsession to be with someone was never there. And even when the relationships ended, it just ended, there was no need for closure or there was no need for explanation or this and that. Everything seemed okay. And you could move on from one person to another if those of you who are in different relationships. In fact, most twin flames, they experience different relationships. That's how they learn. Whether we like it or not, whether it is fortunate or it is unfortunate, but this is how it is. Because twin flames always learn through love. They learn this whole dynamic of yin and yang, from duality to singularity via their relationships with other people. And that is pretty much fair because human beings are a type of animals who are social by nature. So in the universe also, the word universe itself means one in many or one through many. Right? This is the theme of universe. So when people talk about multiverse, I find that they're just literally confusing themselves and everyone else because they don't understand universe first. They have not understood the reason why they're in the universe and they now want to talk about multiverse. Like first you please work on this thing, this one important thing, then only, the next thing you can figure it out. So, and even if that next thing is even correct or not, is it another type of illusion that the reptilians are creating? We don't know that yet, okay? So the masculine also eventually has to surrender because this journey is predestined, and some way or the other, universe is going to ensure that two people will surrender. They will put them through such situations. Even in therapy, when I talk to my students or my clients, they have experienced this and it happens literally in person, because we see it. We see it in real time happening. So they also speak that how difficult it is to surrender and to let go because human beings have this very bad habit of taking control. They want all the control to themselves and then they get tired. Because if you are the doer, you're the person who's doing everything, you will automatically get tired. But if you let the higher beings or, even your own higher self is also the higher being. If you let your higher self do the things, let things happen the way they are predestined, then automatically most of the things will solve, most of the things will be okay, and you'll also personally in your own individual energies, you'll feel much better and much relaxed, Because you don't have to really think in your head all the time, okay, I have to do this now, I have to do that now. Let it go. Just listen to the higher voice. Just listen to the voice of love, because they also have given you signs that, hey, we know what is going to happen. So many times when we get our intuitions, we get our downloads, sometimes people don't like to get downloads, or they don't like to listen to, what might happen, because they feel that, even in that, they are losing control. They feel that, hey, it's me who's supposed to decide everything. I want to do everything. But you have to understand, as a wounded person, are you even in the right place or position to decide for yourself? Because you're in so much pain, you're not healing yourself, you're not taking care of yourself, but you are in the revenge mode sometimes, or sometimes you're very depressed, sometimes you're very sad. So in those low frequency, low vibration energies, as a person, you are not in your own power. You're not in your own, even in your own space. Like sacral chakra says, Swadhisthana. Swadhisthana means where your being is established. Swa means self, and Adhishtan means established. Like we have a very beautiful temple in Nepal called Swayambhu. Once I start tours for people, once I start conducting tours, then I'll definitely, whosoever is a part of the tour, I'll definitely take you guys over there. But it's the meaning of Swayambhu that I really like and sort of resonated with it. Swayambhu means self-manifested, okay? Similarly, in Hindi, in Sanskrit, we have these beautiful words. In one word, they can explain everything. So, Swadhisthana is where your being is established. So, all those people who have not healed their sacral chakra wounds, they will have a problem in surrender, because their being is not yet established. Mooladhara, on the other hand, means root of existence. So if you look at the Mooladhara chakra and you look at the Swadhisthana chakra, it's literally like one step. First, you need to have a root, and then you need to be seated, in that area, in that place of your existence. And this is literally impossible in three-dimensional reality, because three-dimensional reality is more about living in illusion, that I have this thing. Maybe you don't have it. Like even from the bodily perspective, most people think that their life is permanent, and say for example, they buy a house, okay? For them, that is the foundation. If they buy a house, they want to think that this is my house, I own it, okay? But once they die, obviously they don't own that house. It will go to someone else, maybe their own offsprings. But at the time of death, if the attachment towards that house is way too much, then what will happen? They will not get freedom. There is a very interesting story, and this is from the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, great master. He was a scientist. He was a scientific man. Most people think that he was the founder and creator of Sikhism. He just created a word. He created a word called Sikh. And even that word is not like created. He used that word. For him, any student who comes to learn is someone who is a Sikh. Sikh itself means to learn. That word Sikh means to learn. Like this person is a Sikhi because he likes to learn. He or she likes to learn. And after obviously he passed over, and after many years, people created the religion which is now known as Sikhism. Most masters never wanted to create a religion. They only wanted to create knowledge. They wanted to create path for other people, or they wanted to create motivation, because at the end of the day, we all need motivation. We need daily motivation, to grow and to ascend. So they said that, okay, this is how you can scientifically do it. Unfortunately, people converted into religion. Science, spirituality is a science. Spiritualism is a science actually. But then if you start looking at it from religious glasses, then it will no longer serve you or benefit you or anybody else for that matter. So whatever I'm talking about, study of chakra is basically, it is a study for everyone. It is open information. It is not like you need to be in a certain religion only and then you can have access to this particular information. This is the most scientific information. If I talk about the base chakra, because base foundation is very much required. So this story is an interesting story. It's about a man, okay? Like Guru Nanak Dev Ji is present over there, and there's another person who's like a pupil or a student or he's also with him, and both of them are watching a scene from a distance. They are watching that there is a goat, and this goat is living in a house, some particular household, and this goat keeps running inside the house of that particular family, and the family owner, the main person, keeps pushing it out, and now using probably a stick sometimes. So this goat is getting beaten up again and again by this man. The goat still tries to enter, and the person who's watching all this, the witness with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, is like feeling very bad, like, why is this goat like stepping inside this person's home? Sometimes the man ties it up, still it goes running inside. Sometimes the man shoos it away, still it goes inside. The man is getting sick and tired. Like, what is up with this goat? It's just not letting me live in peace. So while this whole situation is happening, this man is beating the goat with the stick, but the goat doesn't care a damn. So the witness is feeling very sad. The witness is like, why is this happening? It doesn't look nice, and this poor goat is getting beaten up, but then you feel bad about the man also, because goats cannot live inside the homes, like, for whatever reason. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji looks at this scene and he starts laughing. He starts laughing a bit. So the man is like, hey, master, why are you laughing? If you actually look at this whole situation, that man can also easily get rid of the goat, okay? But there is certain attachment he is feeling towards the goat that he's not letting it go. Despite all the menace it has caused, despite all the trouble it has caused, the goat wants to go inside the bedroom and sit there like a human being. This man is also attached. Had it been someone else, they would have just, sold the goat off to the butchery. Why keep it? Why keep the nuisance in your house? So Guru Nanak Dev Ji then replies that this goat is actually the father of this man who's beating it up with a stick. The listener goes like, what? Because masters, teachers have powers. They can walk through time. In Hindi, we have a word called Trikaldarshi. Trikaldarshis are people who can witness 3 times, past, present, future. So they can sense, or sometimes, initially when people are in this practice, you can sense what will happen, when, how, timings, this and that. But the powerful, the great masters, they can literally view it. They can literally see it. They can see everything like a proper visual, like a movie that plays in front of them. Surdas was one of those people, and he made so many predictions, including the prediction of this pandemic and corona times, and how he mentioned that, for a number of years this will go on, these things will go on, and finally we will enter the age of truth. So the story of the goat is that he was the owner in the previous life. He was the owner of this big house. All the property, everything belonged to him. But when the moment of death came, the final moment of death came, he believed in this illusion that all of this literally belongs to him. This house, he could not leave the house. His soul could not leave the house. His soul was so attached that I put my whole life building this property, building this house. How can I let it go? This is my house. This is my place. I can't give it away to someone else as long as it belongs to me. But now in the form of the soul, you need a body. You need a body to be able to experience that, emotion or that knowledge. So there is no other body available around, but there's a goat, a female goat was giving birth to new children, like her babies. So as a soul, that was the closest he could get to the house or in the periphery of that house. So he took birth as a goat, and due to his excessive attachment with the house, even as a goat, all he wanted to do was go inside the house, possess the house, like live the way it was living earlier. So the goat is also in pain because the goat is not able to do what it wants. And the son, now that man's son looks at the goat because it's soul of the father, so it can recognize it, but obviously can't recognize that my father is a goat right now. So he feels that attachment. He's not able to throw the goat out. Keeps tying it up, keeps like shooing it away, thinking that it will eventually learn. Maybe after a while it will learn. Maybe the goat will understand. The father, who's the goat now, will understand that now I am a goat and this is a big illusion. But then again, your sensitivity and your behavior depends on the maturity of your mind and your soul. And this mind is actually the biggest block. The mind is the thing that is ruling everything. So you need to tame the mind. And those people who cannot tame their mind, eventually, obviously, will get tamed by the mind. Okay? So I'm just sharing this story because, we need to understand from the root of existence. The root of existence, dhara, moola dhara. Mool means main, root, and dhara means the flow, the flux. Okay, so our root, the flux, the flow of our root, that cannot be just a place, a house. Your body is your house actually for now. Body is your biggest, most safest, most secure house. If you're not secure in this house, and this is also a temporary house, this is a house that has been given to you for a certain period of time. And that's why we need to connect with our chakras, because the chakras basically are the thing, are the reason or the source of how our energy body functions. So actually our body, the real body is energy body. The physical body is also our body, but it is being given to us for a certain period of time. It is an illusion. It is an illusion. But we don't have to see it like that, We don't have to fall prey to this illusion. We have to look at it like, cool, I have this body and I have to use it like a device. And whatever happens, I have to just still remember the truth, the science behind it. Because one of the day, any day, this will be over. All this will be over. And then I can either laugh at the illusion, I can find the whole illusion funny, or I will get mesmerized or I will get entangled in that illusion. And then that itself will create your next body. It could be a goat, it could be a snake. I was told in childhood, one of my old, elders, somebody told me, adults told me that if you are very captivated or fascinated with the money you have earned, then in the next life you'll become a snake. Now we have animals also who have ascended. Like if you have ever looked at the photographs of gods and goddesses, all of them have an animal companion. These are animals that have ascended basically. They are in animal form, but they have figured it out while being an animal. So in many cases we can say that most human beings are actually below animals. Actually, human being is also an animal, which we forget every now and then. We are also an animal. We are a social animal. All the beings in this planet, they are all animals, some kind of animal. Either it's a bird or some kind of a being, like insects are there, birds are there, animals are there, and the plant kingdom is there. Okay, so we forget that we are on the top of the eco chain of all animals. The tiger will rule the jungle and the human being will rule the civilization. That's how it is. Tiger or lion or whatever, heavy duty, powerful animals that we have. But then if a human being will act below, like go below animals also, because at least animals, they surrender to nature. Human beings don't surrender. This is the problem with human beings. If they surrender to nature also, then they are caught in the act of pain and pleasure, because they are not really surrendering to nature also. Like the amount of lust human beings have in them, animals don't have it. Animals mate. They also mate. They also reproduce. But they don't do it because it's pleasurable or it's painful. They do it because they are following the mating season which is created by the nature. They have no option but to surrender to nature at that time. Human beings, they will mate every day and every night if possible. And they are not even going to reproduce because they see it as a thing that gives them pleasure. And all pleasure actually leads to pain. So the pain is, most people, they are so distracted by lust, by sexual energies, that they can never really operate in their actual power. They have no idea of it because they're so... And lust, let me tell you, my friends, lust is not just in body. Lust is in money, lust is in fame, lust is in everything. Even gluttony is a form of lust where you just feel like eating all day long. You have no control. The moment you see food or certain types of food, you have to eat it. It's not, for you, food is not being designed so that it can give you nutrition and nourishment to your body. Because if you actually are in higher energies, you'll automatically attract food that will give you nourishment. You don't have to do much about it. You'll automatically be very drawn to organic food, natural products, automatically. You don't even have to do much about it because subconsciously you have worked on yourself. You work on yourself subconsciously, conscious mind will automatically follow suit. Those people who don't surrender, they basically create more and more pain for themselves. Like, I have to be honest about it. In the ascension journey, because they can't let go of the ego and they can't let go of the fact that, I don't need to control everything. That's the biggest problem with them, and which is why they remain stagnant. Some of them, they reach a certain place, like through therapy and through inner work, they will reach a certain freedom. They will derive it and they know it. Everybody knows because you experience it, right? When I experience or when you experience something which is better and more evolving and more relieving, more peaceful, you know that feeling. You can experience that feeling. It's not like someone has to tell you that this is how it feels. So they know the feeling. They know that this feeling appeared in my life because I was doing certain type of inner work. And then what they do is they enjoy that feeling a lot. They enjoy and they start taking it as a pleasure. And as soon as you start getting into the, rolling into the pleasure, that will start creating pain for you. Because again, you'll start controlling the pleasure. The happiness and the freedom that you derive from it, it's no longer freedom because of that. So, those who don't surrender, the polarized feminines, when they don't surrender, in fact, some of their parts are already merged. When a woman can be a good provider, which is literally the fault actually. Women are not supposed to be providers. But as long as you're in your natural form, as long as you're living as a body, as a gender, you're supposed to be the nurturer. But you're being forced to be a provider, and you have no option but to be a provider because you need to take care of certain people who are your responsibility. Okay? So you are able to do that, you are able to play that role of a provider despite being of an opposite gender, is because you have those twin flame energies in you. You have the singular energies in you. You have the soul consciousness in you, but it is not fully operational. It is blocked because of rigid programming. This rigid programming is so rigid that it does not let go so easily because this is all a game of illusion. It is the game of Maya. It is the game of ego. Ego also needs some kind of place to anchor itself in, and it cannot anchor itself in present, and it cannot anchor itself in truth. These are the two places, the present and the truth, where ego cannot function at all. Ego cannot even exist where truth is, where love is. Because those people who are in the present situation, they cannot even create fear-based energies. They are so rooted in the present moment all the time. This is the only practice we are supposed to do as twin flames, to keep coming back to the present situation. The more you are in the present situation, the more you are relaxed and the more you are relieved. And that can only happen if you learn to let go. That can only happen if you surrender. Surrender to the present moment. Surrender to your heart and soul. And most importantly, surrender to the hukum. Why can't we surrender? Let me tell you. Because we have an ego. We have an ego problem. We don't want to be directed by anyone else. We don't want to be directed by even those people who know more than us or better than us. We cannot even accept those people who we know from our intuition that this person is connected to higher energies. We can't. Because we are taught, we are trained, we are coached. And I'm sorry, but it's a very stupid as well as a very arrogant thing to do. Fine then. Then universe says fine. You want to play this game with me? You don't want to even connect with your own higher self? Maybe your own higher self is directing you to do so. But you're so blinded by illusion, so blinded by ego that you can't even figure that out. That it is my own higher self that is directing me to surrender. You don't want to surrender? Fine. Remain in pain. Remain stagnant. Remain this way. Remain selfish. Actually, this is all happening because of selfishness. You are so selfish, you want everything just for your own physical identity. And is that even selfishness? No, that is stupidity. So you want the masculine to do this, to do that. You want the feminine to do this, to do that. Both opposite parties and opposite energies, they have a long list that I want my person to do this, to do that. And I want my person to love me. I want my person to treat me like this. But they don't understand that you can't do it until and unless you let go. Not all channelings are about predictions. This is the problem with most people in Twin Flame journey. They think that all channelings are about predictions. No. Channelings are also messages. Channelings are also downloads. Channelings can also be predictions and progressions which are delivered from time to time in order to give some relief to the people who are actually doing inner work. So I don't think people who are not doing inner work can benefit so much from these type of channeled messages, because if you are not doing inner work, it will not apply to you. As simple as that. If you have not gone through a certain situation, how will you even understand what happens in that situation or what is the solution? Because actually this whole work you are doing and I'm doing so that people become more and more solution oriented and more independent eventually, and then they can share this energy which is full of love to everybody else. And also be authentic. Like, you don't have to be a people pleaser. You don't have to talk in a certain voice all the time. Unless you're talking to innocent kids and animals and even innocent people. But how innocent are we really? How innocent are most people here? So instead of blaming the other party, the feminine or the masculine collective, we need to take that ownership, and we need to, especially if you're listening to this. I'm not kidding about this. You may also be the runner or the DM, but you don't know that. Because the illusion of the body, of the gender, of the genitalia is so big that you want to think that, yes, I am the woman or I am the man. You don't want to think that I could be a soul. You don't want to think that, this is just for me to be here, a device. So my friends, on this note, I'm going to close this channeling session. If you have questions pertaining to inner work, to surrender, please feel free to put them down. Whenever I get time and whenever, my spirit guides and my masters want me to share it, we'll share it. And it will be for everyone. It should ideally benefit everyone. So feel free and write your questions, your comments. And I'll see you soon in another one. And for your personal situation, you can write to me at thesunamoon@gmail.com. You can go through the description box. If you can afford one of those sessions and therapies, I would recommend go for it. But if you can't, then use all this wonderful content that you have. Use it as much as you can. This is for your benefit. Okay? But do not share your twin flame journey in advance with me. Especially if you want to get into personal coaching sessions with me, then we have protocols we follow, step-by-step procedures we follow to, get into that zone, that mode of deeper inner work. Okay? So yes, thank you so much. I'll see you soon in another one. One love and peace out.